Happy and healthy and revolutionary 2016. It's great to be back here speaking to you from Strasbourg. Unfortunately, all four of us can't be here because Leah is doing sterling work in her constituency at this moment in time, and we're not going to try and represent her here, particularly on fisheries and budgets, as she'll tell you it's all about the money. But she's running around her constituency working very hard and has been doing so for a number of weeks. I want to tell you about an event that's going to be taking place in Belfast on the 29th of January. It's called Brexit, Rights and Wrongs, and obviously we're having debates and conversation about the implications of Brexit for Ireland, but we also want to share with you some information about the repeal of the Human Rights Act. So GUI NGL and Sinn Féin have sought legal advice, and we are going to be sharing that with you on that day. We have a number of speakers. One of the MEPs, British Labour MEP Claude Moraz, is going to be in attendance, as will Nigel Smith from the CBI. We also have Brian Campfield from the trade union, and we have a number of other speakers as well, and of course our MPs, our MEPs will be playing a part. Paul Maskey as MP for West Belfast will be opening the fence. So we want you to be involved and informed about what's happening and the implications of Brexit for Ireland, and we want to make sure that the people get an opportunity to at least hear from those people from the different sectors that have a particular view of its implications. As well as that, this week, just as we speak, I think today, Human Rights Commissioner Niels Muizniak is in the north of Ireland. He is talking to our Joint First Minister, Martin McGuinness, and others. And it's basically in relation to the British obligation under Article 2, the right to life. And just yesterday, we had Justice Weir, open up the case to examine the shoot-to-kill murders that took place in the north. And there were 56 cases that there have not been inquests. Can you imagine, for the families of the number of people who have been murdered by the British state, that haven't even got to the point that they've had a basic inquest, which is a right under the European Convention of Human Rights, and the European Court of Human Rights ruled in 2007 that a number of cases had to be reopened, and 9 years on there still has not been disclosure. I brought Commissioner Muizniak to the north of Ireland, and I will be engaging with him as a consequence of the examination of Justice Weir as we go through the next number of weeks and months ahead. A number of votes has taken place here, all too numerous to mention, too much work going on for us to share with you in this short period of time. So I'm going to hand you over to Lynn, and she'll give you a synopsis of the work she's been involved in.
Thanks, Martina, and Happy New Year to everybody back home. I suppose I want to talk about particularly two files that are coming up in this Strasbourg session. First one is around a skills policy for youth unemployment and about how we best get young people back into employment. We know Sinn Féin have always argued young people want to work. What they need is investment and the opportunity to go into employment. But one of the key issues in this report was an amendment I put in which calls for the abolition of apprentice fees because they are a barrier to education. And the reason why I wanted that included in this report is because Ireland stands alone in the only country that charges its apprentices fees, and that was courtesy of former Minister Rory Quinn. But his predecessor, Jan O'Sullivan, has refused to abolish those fees. And we have shown from the European Commission that the European Employment Initiative Fund that was used to fund the Youth Guarantee can actually be used to plug this hole of the apprentice fees. So there's absolutely no excuse for the Irish government to be imposing these fees on young apprentices, and it flies in the face of their policy. We have young people who could be taking up sustainable traineeships, which we know apprenticeships are, and yet they're being forced out of it and back onto the dole queue because of the punitive fees that they're being charged. The other worrying file that's coming up is, I suppose we'll be voting in favour of it. It's an objection to European Commission proposals around baby food or infant food that's cereal based. And the current proposal by the Commission would allow for 30% sugar content in infant food that could be fed to children as young as 6 months. So we're talking about the food that you're weaning your children onto. The World Health Organization calls for an upper limit of 10% and preferably a 5% upper limit. So we can't fathom why the European Commission is coming out with this 30%. And particularly given in Ireland, where we have 1 in 4 children who are obese, and we know that if we're going to wean them on sugar-based foods, they're going to develop a taste for sugar and go on to eat more sugary foods as they get older. So we'll be supporting that objection because it's an absolutely dangerous proposal by the European Commission. So Sinead, I'll hand you over to Matt Carthy.
Gormaigat Lynn. For us as part of the overall Sinn Féin team and as Sinn Féin activists, we're now joining colleagues right across the island of Ireland for what is probably the busiest 6 months that any political party in modern Irish history has gone through. We have huge electoral challenges in the 26 counties, probably in the late month of February. We have assembly elections in the north on the anniversary of Bobby Sands' death, the 5th of May. And in between, we are all actively involved in organising and commemorating and celebrating the legacy of the 1916 Rising and trying to ensure that we put in place the building blocks so that we can achieve the ideals of the 1916 Rising as early as possible. For us and for myself and Lynn in particular, we're going to be involved in the elections in the 26 counties, while Martina is going to be concentrating on those in the north. In the southern state, we're going to be standing 50 candidates across 40 constituencies. All of those candidates are going to be fighting to win seats in order so that we can put forward a credible alternative government. And we want to do that in order to be able to take power on behalf of those people who have been disenfranchised and who have been marginalised and who have been sold out, quite frankly, by Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and Labour governments for generations. This is probably the first time since the foundation of the state that we have a credible alternative to either a Fianna Fáil or a Fine Gael-led government. And that's Sinn Féin standing on our own manifesto and also standing alongside those other candidates who have signed up for the Right to Change platform. So we as MEPs intend to play our part in whatever way possible by ensuring that we can use the experiences of parties like Syriza and Podemos, who we would work here closely with, are the experience of the Portuguese left parties who had electoral success early this year, and we can take the positives from those experiences and we can help shape the election campaign that we will be fighting in Ireland over the next number of weeks, because this is a defining moment in Irish history. It's certainly a defining moment in modern Irish politics, and we, like I'm sure all of you, want to play our part in ensuring that we seize that opportunity, the opportunity that's probably as great as it has been in the past 100 years, and that's our task of work, and we look forward to delivering upon that alongside our great team of election candidates.
So from the most energetic team of Irish representatives here in the European Parliament, until next time, slán go fóill.